Sit down.
Don't get up.
Maybe you can just sit and pray.
Time goes on, we get older. Well, I just want to say, I've done, I think, 5 weddings out here. Wendy and Joe was one, and the 3 girls, and JJ just last year. And it's just always a joy to be here, and this wonderful, wonderful family. And of course, today we think of Laura, whose roots here go very, 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 very deep. Everything is roots. That's what makes the corn grow, is the roots. And we just give thanks for Laura and her life, all that she did, all that she was, and a lot of what Laura is sitting right here. Oh, how wonderful, how wonderful. So we bow our heads and give thanks. Thank you, Lord, for Laura, for her life, for her serving of so many people. As a nurse, as a teacher, as a mother, as a wife, we thank you so much for Laura. And we understand that she is now called home to be with you forever. So thank you, Lord, for her life on this earth and her life eternal. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. I have to apologize for the wind. Not really. It's just going to be there, and so we're just going to go through with it, whether we like it or not. What I'd like to do now is... Okay, hold on. So I'm going to start out reading the obituary, and then we'll go from there. We got a lot of stuff to cover, and I'd like to talk in just a celebration of the life that was lived here. Actually, when I read all this stuff and see how much Laura and David did together, it's incredible. Like Pastor Wentz said, just look around you. It's incredible, and we're very thankful. So, Laura Lolly Millis Triebold passed away on October 19th, 2021, in the comfort of her home on her own terms following a short bout with cancer. Laura was born February 1st, 1940, to Leslie and Doris Hunt Ingle, the only one of 9 to live past infancy. I just going to pause there and think about that. Things have seriously changed. Amen? Amen. All right. She attended campus school at now UW Whitewater from kindergarten through high school, graduating as class valedictorian in 1958. Schooling continued at Skidmore College in Sarasota Springs, New York, with a bachelor's degree in science in nursing, graduating in 1962, again as class valedictorian. Never wanting to stop learning, Laura earned her master's degree in guidance and counseling from UW Whitewater in 1975 and a master's degree in nursing from Marquette University in 1995. Laura was united in marriage to David Triebold on October 26, 1963. More schooling was acquired, this time in hands-on manner, as a city girl. I don't stop making that noise. As a city girl, learned how to milk cows, drive a tractor, and master many other jobs required on a working dairy farm, which eventually transitioned into a crop farm. These girls were born into the family: Kathleen in 1964, Christine in 1966, 10 months later, Carla in 1967. All 3 girls mastered Laura's ability to balance work and family life and became strong, independent, goal-oriented women who shared her love of learning, and she never obtained her initial wish for the 3 daughters to work for the 3 different airlines so she could take advantage of family travel. Okay. Instead, she gained three professionals: an accountant, a doctor, and a lawyer. Laura loved to work, be it in the nursing field, the farming field, or the rental property field. Her work life began in 1962 as a head nurse of pediatric surgery at the Presbyterian Hospital, now Rush Memorial, where she stayed until her marriage to Dave. From 1967 to 1971, she was a visiting nurse for the Walworth County, where we all live here. In 1971, she became an instructor for the LPN program at Madison Area Technical College, Fort Atkinson campus. Laura retired in 1999 after 28 years of teaching. While teaching for MATC, she was honored to be invited by the NCLEX Association to write for the National LPN exam, not once, but twice. Laura took pride in her nursing students, wanting them to succeed in life by empowering them to work hard to obtain their goals and to believe in themselves, which helped propel them into becoming exemplary caring nurses. After official retirement, sorry, this is because of the wind. After retirement, Lolly continued working with Dave on the farm, as well as managing their rental properties. Her relaxation consisted on planting and watering her flowers during the spring and summer, writing bird letters, and schooling and kicking her family's derriere, not my word, in Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. She enjoyed planning, traveling trips, both domestic and international. Destinations include most of the 50 states, the Caribbean, Central America, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, China, Japan, Thailand, and Russia. For the past 20 years, a really nice town in Spain became a favorite. Somebody pronounce that name. Say it? Torremolinos. Josie told me how to say it. I got here and I just stuck. Sorry. Torremolinos, Spain became a favorite winter destination. New friends were made on every trip. Soon each of the new friends found their name and address inserted into Laura's infamous? Okay, an ever-growing old-school address card box. All of these new friends benefited from Laura's love of correspondence through her Christmas tabloid newsletter. In it, she would regale her readers with tales of her life with family and friends on the farm. She was a wordsmith that kept these many people connected, always slipping in a new vocabulary word or two, which required the use of the good old Webster's Dictionary. Who even knew what the words accoutrements, you're killing me here. Assiduous, behemoth, bucolic, cloven, paucity, pensive, procrastinators, repertoire, and solace meant. Thank you all for the vocabulary lesson. These new friends and their extended families from around the world always had an open invitation to spend time on the Triebold farm, enjoying Dave and Laura's hospitality. Laura is survived by her husband, David, their three daughters, Kathleen, husband Jeff, Markham, Christine, Phil, Welter, Carla, and Jeff Mortara, is that correct? 6 grandchildren, JJ, Jess, Josie, Wyatt, Christina, Kara, Alexandra, and Andrew. The grandkids were forbidden to call her grandma, as she was never old enough to be a grandma. Instead, she was known as mom. So, yesterday when I came and I talked to Kath, I hope you can all hear me. Tell me if you can. You okay?
Yeah.
The wind is a little noisy, so forgive me. It's not loud enough. And she gave me this letter, or well, a news clipping, and I've heard of this story. It was based on Paul Harvey's discussion, God made a farmer. Only it's twisted a little bit because there's more to than a farmer than just being a farmer and taking care of fields, raising cattle, doing the things that farmers do. That, by the way, help the entire world. I'm very appreciative. But in everybody's life, there's that helpmate. And I found it interesting that as I researched the story, was that it was brought up here now as we celebrate Laura's passing, that it really falls more into that helpmate of a marriage between a man and a woman to cultivate what we know as life today. So I just love this thing. I'm not going to make it through it. So she dedicated it to her sisters and Hunter. The farm wives are some of the most spectacular women I know. Not me, this Megan Gottman, who wrote the article. And on the 9th day, God looked down and said, I have just asked a lot of this old boy. He is going to need some help. So God made a farmer's wife. God said she has to get up before dawn and not let that farmer hit the snooze for the 3rd time. Cook breakfast while he is milking the cows. Wake and ready for the brood to go to school. Take supper to him in the field and remind him to quit in time to get to the school board meeting in town. So God made a farmer's wife. I need someone strong enough to chase cows out of the cornfield at 8 months pregnant. Someone to run down to town for parts, come home, throw a meal together, and then deliver another meal to a sick neighbor. Someone to mend his clothes and keep them clean. Someone who deliver her good towels and her own hair dryer to the barn to warm a shivering calf. So God made a farmer's wife. I need someone who will trade off with him in the barn while saving the newborn colt. And when it dies, she will cry when he says, maybe next year. Someone who can use an axe, know where to find it, who can fashion a child's belt, sorry guys, out of the baling twine while running horses back in and fixing the hot wire. And one at planting time finishes 40 hours a week on Tuesday by noon, 16 hours of her own in-town job. So God made a farmer's wife. God knew that a farmer would need someone out there bucking bales and bouncing along at double speed, helping get the hay in ahead of the rain. Someone who would run with him to the neighbor's farm when he sees smoke and then come up with enough food to feed the tired, hungry, impromptu firefighting crew. God made a farmer's wife. God said she has to be strong enough to heave bales, scoop out bins, carry feed buckets, yet gentle enough to fix a child's boo-boo with duct tape and shop towel bandage in the middle of the field. Isn't that the truth? It has to be someone who won't cut corners when it comes to the land and the animals, but cut them in her clothing, grocery, beautician, and decorating budget. Someone to seed, feed, weed, breed, rake, disc, plow, mix calf bottles, load livestock and haul them to town, who makes sure everyone is bathed and in the pew Sunday morning for church. Someone who could trust his guidance, yet offer her suggestions as he bailed his family together in love and sharing, who gently reminds him of who he is working for. Someone who would laugh, then sigh, told you. With smiling eyes, when her daughter says she wants to grow up and marry a farmer. So God made a farmer's wife. That's a beautiful story. Very appropriate. Very appropriate. If you don't know me, my name is Tim Nays. I came into this family sort of a roundabout way. There were horses. Which grew into a friendship, then young love, marriage. My daughter is Jessica. I was married to Jeremiah J.J. Markham, son of Jeff and Kathleen Markham. Of course, Kathleen is one of the daughters of David and Laura Triebold. Years ago, this chronology would be located in the family Bible. Now it's all online. So if you want, you can Google it, and you can pick up the Facebook pictures. Again, I welcome you to this time of celebration that we cherish the moments and memories of Laura, which has given all of us the privilege to know her. When I visited Laura and talked and prayed with her, she told me, well, it was time. It is my time. I have made my decision, and it's my time. She had run the race, fought the good fight. The battle was over. All of the seasons for Laura are now complete. The harvest season is now. I couldn't help but think she knew in everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heavens. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to harvest. That which was planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, and a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, and a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to stay silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that God has made from the beginning to the end. As every farmer knows, the seasons under the sun. There's spring, there's planting, planting, preparation, crop selection, planting. Summer, well, there's irrigation, crop growth, insecticide, nature and care for that harvest that was planted. Fall, there's harvest. You reap the bounty from the fields and store them up or sell them. Winter, you turn up the soil and fertilize the fields to rejuvenate the nutrients. The same applies with animal breeding cycle. The same applies to people cycle too. We are born, nurtured, taken care of as we grow through the childhood, becoming young adults, being an adult, doing the family things, having children, nourishing the children, growing old, and passing away. Life, of course, is shorter than we think, especially when compared to eternity. The seasons never really change. The seasons will continue until the Lord himself shall descend from the heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trump of God. And the dead in Christ shall rise first. God pinched us out of a piece of dirt and breathed life, gave us a soul, put eternity into our hearts. Our purpose is to work through the seasons of life for the pleasure of God, and God sets the seasons for each and every one of us. There is a time to, and there's a time not to. As the scripture says, these are the seasons we have to say that we have no say in. We have no say or voice when we are going to be born, nor do we have a say or when we are going to die. This is God's season He has set for our lives. It is how we spend our time in between the gift of life and the end of our life season, and we die. That will define who we are, and we sow nature and renew life that God has provided prior to the harvest. We are here to be faithful, to share with others, lift others up, and to serve those who cannot serve themselves. To love our neighbors as ourselves. Jesus said, "When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was sick, you cared for me. And when I was in prison, you visited me." The Bible tells us, "We will know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them." I want you to take a moment right now. Just look around you. Look at each other. You are the fruit the good tree of Laura Triebold has planted and nurtured. With tears running down Laura's cheeks and a smile on her face, she knew it was her time for the harvest. Ray has some thoughts that he would like to share with everyone. Just stand behind the speakers, you should be fine.
First, I would just like to thank everybody that came here today. We have people from literally all around the world, near and far. So I just appreciate you sharing and showing your respect for Laura Triebold. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Ray Triebold, and Laura was my youngest aunt. I didn't think she was particularly vain about her age, but I don't think she'd mind me saying that. Now, before I begin, I just want to say my recollections are my recollections. And if you remember Lolly differently, well, we got all afternoon. And you can tell your own stories. Laura Triebold was influential in my life for just about as long as I can remember. Even way back when I was a clueless and rebellious teenager, Aunt Lal had a look, an aura about her that made me want to straighten up and fly right whenever she was around. But my earliest memories of her, whether it was in the cow barn or out in the field, revolved around her way of facing up to hard work and just getting things done. If Lolly had a job to do, she was going to see it through to its completion. The satisfaction achieved by working hard and accomplishing something radiated from Aunt Lau to those around her. You can see evidence of this in the character of her three daughters. Kathleen, the steady and stoic accountant and business partner. Chris, the caring and compassionate veterinarian and dairy farmer. And Carla, the vibrant and charismatic scientist and attorney. Each of them are successful in their own entirely individual way, and each of them are completely dedicated to their work and to their families. If you knew Lolly, you know she did not suffer fools lightly. If she saw that you were going off the rails in some way, she was not afraid to say so, and she would not hide her disapproval. She was feisty and opinionated to the point where some might have thought her as harsh or even caustic. But I believe the motivation for her honesty was to bring out the best in those around her. I'm sure there's many people here that have benefited from her passion in seeing others become their best. I've met several of Laura's nursing students through the years, and their memories of her usually contain a similar theme, often sounding very much like this. When I first started classes with Laura Triebold, I was downright afraid of her. She was intimidating and strict, although obviously very knowledgeable. But once I'd trained with her for a while, I learned that she was wholly dedicated to developing the very best nurses possible. I learned not only to respect her, but to seek her approval. I was fortunate to have her for a teacher. I've heard similar stories like this about Aunt Lau many times. Aunt Lau truly despised lies and those who told them. If she found someone in her nursing program was lying, for example, claiming they had completed a procedure or taken a temperature when in fact they had not, almost without exception, they were out of the program right now. And Lau had her own way of diving right down to the truth of the matter. If ever this nursing thing didn't work out, she'd have probably made a darn good detective. Well, a strong personality deserves a strong partner, and Aunt Lau certainly found hers in Uncle Dave. Like most marriages, I'm sure it took a lot of mutual concessions to make it all work, but they did for all of 59 years. And they were truly partners in everything they did, whether it was raising those three daughters, milking cows, planting, harvesting, keeping up the lawn and the gardens, or later acquiring and maintaining rental properties. They worked hard and they worked together. But life for Laura and David wasn't all nose to the grindstone. When the work was done, they liked to have a good time too. As many of you know, Laura considered herself as something of a wordsmith, and she took great pride in writing personal letters and in putting together the annual Christmas tabloid. VT and Lau loved to travel together, and during those travels, they met people literally from around the world. Laura took it upon herself to maintain contact with many of those that they met, and in doing so, turned casual acquaintances into lifelong friends. Most people here have probably been to one of David and Laura's summer parties on the lawn, very much like this, with the party tent and pig roast and cold beer and skinny dipping, which comes later actually. And maybe some of you have even conspired to try and dunk feisty old Uncle Joe into the pool, God rest his soul. A lot of memories, a lot of fun memories were made right here, and Lolly was the gracious hostess for all of those events. Aunt Lau was very much in charge of her own life, and as in life, in an act of self-will, she approached death with her own brand of dignity. and on her own terms. Facing down eternity, Laura did not choose to be pitied, but rather, she chose to be remembered as the strong and independent woman she was. Aunt Lau was many things to many people: wife, daughter, mother, aunt, nurse, teacher, farmer, landlord, friend. Today, as we enjoy each other's company and this beautiful weather, let each of us remember Lolly for what she meant to us and reflect on what she has contributed to each of our lives. Now, nobody here has a drink. I would have proposed a toast. I don't have a drink. So, but here's my toast. Laura Triebold, may you rest in peace, yet may you remain very much alive in our memories. Thank you.
Thank you, Raymond.
Thank you, Raymond. That was nice. Chris?
Yep. Okay. All right. So I'm a little long-winded, kind of like my mom. My dad spent most of his time trying to cut words out of her Christmas tabloid because she was always saying too much. But this is my chance, so I'm going to take it. So I'm Christine Ruth Triebold Welter. I'm the middle child. My first name begins with the letter K, as does my two sisters' names, Kathleen and Carla. The 3 Ks. This occasionally tripped my mother up when she was trying to get our attention. Carathis. No, Chris Cathcart. Cart, whatever. So finally, she reverted to the universal call of hoo-hoo, which could be heard for as far as half a mile away. And when she did it, you came running because there was no other option. Our mom was fierce. She was fiercely loyal, fiercely opinionated, fiercely caring, fiercely hardworking, and fiercely intelligent, just to give you a few adjectives. Mom loved vocabulary, writing, learning, and teaching. So what better opportunity to use this platform to expound on something she immensely enjoyed. See how I'm doing that? I'm throwing in some new words for y'all. So she taught her 3 daughters well, but I don't think that even we can ever measure up or do her justice to her exceptional level of intellect. So vocabulary lesson today with supporting story. This seemed like such a good idea when I was out raking hay and I had all the time in the world to think about it. So like I said, I'm a little long-winded. Loyal, definition, giving or showing firm and constant support or allegiance to a person or institution. Synonyms, faithful, true, devoted, staunch, steadfast, dutiful, dependable, trustworthy. Our mom was loyal. She was married to our dad just 1 week shy of 59 years. She was his sidekick and his right-hand woman. She was by his side daily on the farm, whether it be milking a cow, mowing hay, or driving a tractor, pulling a plow or a disc or a planter, or she was just there holding his hand, as we like to call it, while he was fixing on a piece of equipment, so he didn't have to be alone. They were inseparable. Where you found one, you found the other. It may have been on their Kubota mule, traveling along, taking in their fields and crops, or it may have just been sitting together with a cocktail in hand, enjoying the sunset. They vacationed together around the world and met new people everywhere they went. Mom was dependably faithful correspondent, keeping their new friends in the loop through her writings of her antics on the farm or through her writing of her family's lives in the annual Christmas tabloid, which she snail-mailed around the world. She was devoted to her classmates, whether they were from her high school or from her college in New York at Skidmore. She was steadfast in her belief in her nursing students. She was true to her family. Opinionated. Definition: certain about one's beliefs or views and express their ideas strongly. Synonyms: dogmatic, determined, categorical, stubborn, assertive, insistent, adamant. Yes, 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 as some of you might know better than others, my mom was opinionated. She had a tendency to gather a lot of information, dissect it, digest it, ruminate on it, and regurgitate it. These are all cow terms. How exciting for me, the cow doctor. She loved her facts and figures, and she enjoyed showing it off and trying to educate you on along the way. Occasionally, very annoying. I know, but it was all done to make you question and to make you think. Many a night she would get up in the wee hours of the morning because her brain wouldn't shut off. She had a bone to pick with someone, and she wouldn't be satisfied until she addressed it and put her thoughts to paper. You didn't want to be on the receiving end of her verbose diatribes. She would sit at her computer, tapping away, composing a scathing letter to a hospital administrator for example, did their staff know how much a Band-Aid cost at the hospital level versus how much a Band-Aid cost at Walmart? Why was there some astronomical markup? Did physical therapy department know how much it was costing the insurance company, Medicare, and the patient just to walk under the threshold of the hospital room doorway just to say, hello, patient, and 2 minutes later walk right back out of said door after doing nothing at all? She was determined to make them see that there was a problem with their system. She was insistent that they look into this. She had strong opinions, and she was adamantly hoping to exact change. Caring. Definition: displaying kindness and concern for others. Synonyms: kind, supportive, attentive, concerned, protective, nurturing. Our mom was caring. Sometimes she was gruff and impatient, but that doesn't mean she didn't care. She was protective and concerned, and when she would find one of her loved ones in a difficult situation, she became a mama bear. She didn't back off. She asked hard questions and demanded answers and action. If you found yourself sick or hurt and had to go to the doctor or the hospital for care, she insituated herself into coming right along with you. When it came down to taking care of someone, she was team patient all the way. She was the patient advocate that you wanted on your side, and she was a hot commodity with this family. I think Dad used her patient advocate skills the most. I'd probably come in as runner-up. She saved our lives. She was invaluable to us all. Our mom cared about the nursing students that she taught. She wanted them to succeed and was damn sure going to make sure that that happened. She was supportive of them and nurtured them through their classes and their lives outside of class. At home, when she would grade their exams, she would have us all at the dining room table in an assembly line fashion, and we would help her tally up the incorrect answers to the individual questions. If a pattern of incorrect answers became apparent on a specific question, she would throw the question out and give them their credit back. She did this because she felt that if the majority of her students all got the question wrong, then she wasn't teaching the material correctly, and it wasn't fair to them to lose points for her failures. How would they ever learn the material if she didn't teach it in a way that they could understand it? The goal was not to create trick questions. The goal was to teach and make better nurses so they would succeed in saving lives. If she cared, they cared. Hardworking. Definition: a person tending to work with energy and commitment, constantly, regularly, or habitually engaged in earnest and energetic work, putting effort into doing and completing tasks. Synonyms: diligent, industrious, tenacious, conscientious, assiduous, persevering, studious, zealous, driven, methodical, persistent. Our mom was hardworking. She was driven in school to be the best. She never did things half-assed. She always committed. She studied in a methodical way to gain knowledge. Our mom was a list maker. She loved to make and organize lists in order to check things off of them. It gave her a sense of a path to accomplishment. Her 3 daughters also inherited her list-making skills. Bam! Her approach to farming was work until the work was done. It took perseverance through inclement weather, equipment breakdowns, and non-compliant animals, but she did the work until it was done to satisfactory completion. There was always an end goal for her, only to be achieved by putting in the time. Her approach to teaching nursing was not to make her students do anything that she wasn't willing to do. Just because she was the instructor didn't mean that she'd leave a dirty bedpan in the patient's room if she saw it first. If she saw it, she took care of it. She felt that if she wasn't willing to clean it up, why would she expect them to clean it up? She led by example. She juggled a nursing career, a family career, a husband, as well as 3 daughters and their families. She was amazing. If she had one task that consistently eluded her proficiency, it had to be that of operating the good old manual grease gun. For her, trying to get the tip of the nozzle flush and onto the greaser, all the while manhandling the levered beast of the cartridge chamber, was a constant challenge for her. She'd have grease everywhere. Outside the zerk, on her shirt, on her arm, on her pants, on her face, in her hair, on the bottom of her shoe. Identical. But you know the one place where she surely had grease? In the bearing, within the joint, where it really belonged. Her perseverance and tenacity always won out in the end. Intelligent. Definition: having a good amount of mental ability where the person can comprehend new and difficult situations and solve problems quickly once gathering the information. Synonyms: clever, bright, brilliant, astute, intuitive, insightful, perceptive, ingenious, knowledgeable, perspicacious. How do you like that one, folks? Mom would have loved that word, and she would have used it too. Our mom was intelligent. After all, she was the valedictorian of both her high school class and her college class. She held a bachelor's degree in nursing and 2 master's degrees. She was the smartest woman we knew. She asked a lot of questions, and I mean a lot. She was inquisitive. She was perceptive, always fact-gathering and thinking. Be careful here, people, because she was ingenious. For example, she would casually ask you, "How many cows are you milking today?" Then she'd lull you into a false sense of security by doing a topic change for a little while. And soon she'd be asking, "What was the stick reading on the milk tank today?" Again, topic change of convenience, followed later by, "What's 100 pounds of milk going for these days?" And all of a sudden, blam, she'd have it. It is not only your average pounds of milk given per cow on a daily basis, but also she'd have insight into your daily gross income, which she then converted into your monthly income, which leapt her right on into your yearly income. Brilliantly clever, Mom. And she did this trick all the time in all things and all possible applications. She loved learning. She loved knowledge. She just plain loved thinking about stuff. And she wasn't selfish with what she knew. She enjoyed passing her knowledge on to others, whether it be about farming, like the best way to use a crowbar for leverage in order to get a stuck rock out from in between 2 disc blades, to medical questions about what a lump in your armpit might be, to the history of the Andalusian horse, or the names of the above-ground aerial acrobatics of the Lipizzan horse. And who can forget about her infamous scavenger hunts, pitting team against team with a gamut of varying questions to utilize a multitude of abilities of each team member. You had better know your nursery rhymes, your Bible verses, your song genres, your French, your German, your Spanish, your literature, and your botany. Who knew a Bustenhalter ein Schwarz meant that you had to present a black bra to the judges in order to move on in the competition?
I remember that.
Just picture this peep show in action as someone frantically tries to remove their bra to present it to the judges or flashes a shirt lift. It happened, people. So there, a vocabulary lesson Mom would be proud of. Everyone here, just think about some of your interactions with her. Think about the questions that she asked you and why she asked them of you. She was challenging you to learn, think, teach. Sorry, still the smartest woman I ever have known. So before I'm done, let's take a moment to remember and reflect on all of those important people in our lives that we've loved and lost, or that are still here, who have shaped us into the people who we've become. Thank you again to our special caregivers, Karen, Lisa, Donna, Elizabeth, Kelly, Nikki, Ann, and Michael. Rest in peace. We miss you at this party, cleaning up and helping us set out food. Thank you to everyone around the world who have helped our family with their valued support. Special thanks to Joe and Wendy and the Stoller clan. Bella, another person Mom considered as an extra daughter, and her family for flying here from Denmark to be here today. And to those who couldn't make the journey but are here with us in spirit, from Germany, Spanuggles, France, the Poupards, from China, New Zealand, Ding Bell and Bill and Shona Weir, from Australia, Heidi and Caroline, from Canada, Ron and Hope, and many other people that I just didn't have time to put down on paper. You're missed, and you're appreciated. And she also had support from people in just about every state in the U.S. And thanks to Dad, Kath, and Carl.
Now I know why Lal always asked how many bottles of wine it takes and the grapes it takes. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Joe Stoller. I'm the de facto adopted son of Chris and the Triebold family as well. Lal would be so proud of this beautiful day that she's been blessed with. Chris, Kath, Carla, she would be so proud and is of the work you've done to get this sanctuary of hers, her heaven on earth here, ready. I'm going to do my best to try to get through this, but Kath, I was going to ask you for a pair of blinders. Because if I look at you girls, I'm going to have a problem. So when I started writing this tribute to Lal, I was stricken with writer's block, which, based on the thousands of pieces Lal completed throughout her life, an ailment I believe Lal rarely suffered. To cure my anguishing writer's block, I prescribed the elementary method of who, what, when, where, and how. Who was Lal? Lal was a linguist. I do not believe that anyone here will argue with that. Lal had a mastery of written communication and captivation that many published authors strive to become. Which, by the way, I didn't make any attempt in this tribute to rival her mastery. It is my weakness, certainly. Who was Lal? Lal was Mrs. David Triebold. Lal was a proud, strong woman, but DT, Lal was so proud to be your wife, companion, and caregiver. What was Lal? Lal was a nurse in the classic sense that nurses are trained to care for the body, the dignity, and the soul for the cause of humanity and community. Lal thought this and lived this. I will never forget in Lal's last days as we visited her daily. Even as we saw her energy dwindle, she never lost the desire to care for others around her. How was your day? What's new at work? This is how to cure that rash or that political ideology. These conversations with Lal make me wonder if she is currently conversing with Jesus on his treatment of raising Lazarus from the dead, or debating with Jesus who was the better leader, Tiberius, Lincoln, or Reagan. What was Lal? Lal was family to all. As I was writing this, I looked to some famous eulogies for inspiration and found that many talked about true friends and how rare they can be. This is certainly a testament to how rare Lal was as a friend. I believe what makes true friends rare is that they transcend friendship into a family member. I look out at this vast crowd and I realize that Lal really considered us all family. Through her letters of support, welcoming hospitality at her dinner table, or a place to sleep in her home. She embraced, educated, nursed, nurtured, and of course debated politics with the same love, compassion, and devotion she did with her husband, children, and grandchildren. When was Lal? We'll come back to that. Where was Lal? Lal was everywhere. Not only was Lal influential here in the Whitewater area as a community leader, at MATC as a tenured educator, but everywhere Lal went. Lal has touched the lives of many throughout the world, as many examples have already talked about. From Garrett and Elka and her family in Germany, to Herbert and Heidi and Caroline in Australia, to Bella and her family who have joined us from Denmark. And that does not account for the numerous exchange students and every acquaintance in her vast list of tabloid recipients. How was Lal? Sorry, Lal, I should have used an adverb, but I'm going to use an adjective and a noun. Lal was an inspiring educator. For those of you that do not know my story, Lal helped change the course of my life. In my early teen years, I was like many teenagers, not making the best choices and not living up to my potential. Being an educator, Lal was gifted with the ability to help people, sometimes in a stern way, but she knew when and how to be an effective educator. I truly believe that what we contribute in this life to this world stems from the people we help, the people we teach, and the people we care for. One person can only physically accomplish so much in a lifetime, but when we help others, teach others, and care for others, these acts transcend through generations. Lal touched and improved my life. That touch extends to my wife Wendy and our 4 children. The love and caring, teaching touch of Lal will extend through all the thousands of people that Lal has touched in her life, work, and travels for generations to come. Lal instilled in each of us a little who, what, where, and how of her, which answers the when. Lal was, is, and will continue to be with us, through us, to those around us. Thank you.
We would like to share some verses from the Bible that have helped and encouraged nurses throughout history.
Exodus 2 verse 9. Then Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this child away and nurse him for me, and I will give you your wages." So the woman took the child and nursed him.
Matthew 5:13 through 16. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has become tasteless, how will it be made salty again? It is good for nothing anymore, except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do men light a lamp and put it under the peck measure, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Luke chapter 10, verse 30 through 35. Jesus replied and said, "A certain man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and he fell among robbers. And they stripped him and beat him, and went off, leaving him half dead. And by chance, a certain priest was going down on that road. And when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise, a Levite also, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan who was on a journey came upon him, and when he saw him, he felt compassion and came to him, and bandaged up his wounds, pouring oil and wine onto them. And he put him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And on the next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper, and said, 'Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I return, I will repay you.' Lolly came upon our family on her life's journey, nurtured us, so that our life's journey will nurture others. Thank you, Lolly."
I found a poem that is very short, but I added a little onto it in honor of Lolly. So, she was incandescently beautiful, and beauty was the least of her. She loved harder than anyone could imagine, and even more than she's shown. She was passionate about life, dedicating hers to teaching her nursing passion to others. She was wise, and you could always learn something new when you were around her. And most of all, she was the sun, and she shone all of her light into each and every person. Sorry. And she's not gone yet. The dark between all of us stars, holding us together in life, memories, and each other. And as I look on everybody here today, just see she's this warm weather that we're having, and just all around us here. So thank you.
Wow, seems like a theme running here, doesn't it? I've never heard nurture so much in my life, but when you know a woman that is wonderful as Laura was, and the things that she did for others, and like I said, you look around and look at each other, and you can see how that life touched so many other people. And so at this time, we'd like to share those memories, if you have any. Now would be a good time to come up here and tell us your story. Well, Laura, you look like you're getting ready to get up, man. Come on.
I like the cute little things that you do, and I like your pretty brown eyes, like stars in the heaven that capture the dew, sun bringing light to the skies. Laura, you're mine, brown eyes that shine. God bless the day that I met you. You'll always be friends with me, and I will always be a friend with you. I danced that with Laura and Kath at a couple of polka parties, and I just had to do it. And thank you, the Triebold family, for taking me into their family way years ago, actually before any of you girls were born. One of the Triebolds changed my diapers. Thank you so much.
shy. We do have a couple of them here that we can read and share with you that were sent in. Why did somebody tell me this microphone would make so much noise as the other one? All right. Don't see anybody moving. Hello, Dave and girls. That's how this one starts out. Lal and I were college classmates. I remember she lent me a dress so I could go on a date once. One Christmas, we were both in New York City. Her parents came to visit, and I was included in all their celebratory activities. I believe we were entertained by Guy Lombardo at the Swanky Hotel. We took a bus to Whitewater one time, and I got to know where she lived. I stayed at her parents' house, and we explored the dairy farm where David worked. It was a thrill to help deliver a breeched calf. She was a bridesmaid at my wedding at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where I served in the Army Nurse Corps. We both had 3 children and worked in the nursing field. She was an educator. I worked in a burn unit. I would visit her on Engle Road off and through the years. She would say, "I'm amazed at how much we think alike." I can't imagine there'd be 2 of those. Incredible. Anyways, after a 2-year stint in New Zealand, I eventually settled in Chelan, Washington. I'm not sure I said that right. Chelan? Okay. She and Dave made plans to visit me. It just so happened that I had a mountaineering accident that weekend. They managed to track me down, discovered that I was in ICU and tubes were fanning everywhere. Had broken several ribs and an arm and a collapsed lung. My climbing team did a valiant job saving me. Dave hates to visit people in the hospital, but apparently I had them in stitches after a while and come back to the Quad Cities to help my daughters, who were going through a rough patch at the time. Here I remain close to my extended family. There are 3 now, 13 grandchildren. I drove to a visit a couple more times with my husky, Shantae. I'm very sorry that over what had happened towards the end. However, I was able to speak to her on the phone. She was a gracious individual. Even though our visits over the years were infrequent, I have found memories. I feel fortunate to have known her. My thoughts and prayers will be with you on this coming celebration day. Who is this from? Joyce Nielsen? Joyce Nielsen. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? It's okay, we're all crying. A couple more here if you want. Dear Dave, I'm sorry to hear that you lost Lolly. I thought she would be around forever, and I'm very sad too. Here are a few of my thoughts and happy notes with Lolly. I lived 2 blocks from Lolly and went to the same school from 3rd grade until we graduated from College High. I remember when Lolly invited our whole class to her home on June 2nd, 1953 to watch TV to see Elizabeth when she was crowned and became queen. Many of us did not have a TV. Now for a second there I had to think of, Elizabeth? Oh yeah, okay. See, I wasn't around then either. After our class graduated, reunions were often organized by Lolly, our queen, on the Triebold farm. At our last reunion, Lolly borrowed a huge bus and a driver. She narrated, telling us some funny and sad stories about lots of changes in the Whitewater environs. That's what that means, but just changes, right? Yeah. Then stopped at the Stoller Estate. Joe, the winery, make everyone happy. Lolly's reunions was the best, and we loved it. That's Judy Grant. I can stand here all day and read, but I think we got to get out of here. Kind of look like you're leaving forward. No? I kick him too.
Well, I know everybody's talking about her being an educator. My freshman year in college, back in 2000, I was having troubles with a history class. It was history prior to 1886. I used to come home every weekend and South Carolina, mainly to have her help me with my homework. And if I would help DC in the field and she would do my homework. I distinctly remember her getting excited when I had a history paper due that was, about 5 pages long, and I happened to leave and came back, and she had printed it off, and I had read it, and I liked what she did because I didn't have to do it. Well, she forgot to save it, and as you know, she has troubles with computers and the government. As my mind is thinking about random thoughts that, I remember her and DC going on trips, and Miss Garmin for taking them wrong directions, and her computer was much the same, and so she had to write it a second time. And that time she managed to save it, and we got it printed off. This is 10 years ago, so she's been out of teaching for how long? And first question I came back the next week was, what was the grade on that paper? Well, pleased to say it was like a 98%. Well, that wasn't good enough for her. She wanted to know why it wasn't better. So I just, to me, she's an educator till the day she died. She couldn't help but educate everybody and everything, and she's happy to help me in any way she could. That was the best thing for me, is that I was able to go to her with any problem and she's able to help.
That one's got a lot of words I don't know. Yeah, it was one of those foreign ones. Marine just rang me with the sad news of Laura's death. I am so very sorry and offer you and the family my deepest sympathy. We have lovely memories of Spain, like the night Marine made Irish stew for all, and we couldn't stop Harry eating. Okay? Marine and I often spoke of the generosity, like the time you paid for Steve and Katie to fly home after she broke her leg. Laura would often talk about how hard you worked and spoke great pride about her own properties. My being a quantities survivor, she knew how interested I was. I remember the time you were going home before us, and you left a load of beer and groceries outside our door. It kept us going for the rest of our stay. There was always a time when Laura heard my son John was going to work in America and issued an open invitation for him to come and stay. And in her own words, to sample good Wisconsin hospitality. So it's been a very difficult year. My daughter Teresa died suddenly on the 20th of December, and the date of my wife Anne. We are in process of arranging to fly to England. We will keep you in our thoughts and ask for prayer for us. Wishing you God's blessing. Pat, Patty, McGovern, and Marie. Anyone else? Yeah.
So I'm Jeff Markham, Kathleen's husband. Met Lolly about 37 years ago. Here at this place, at a party put on for their daughter when she turned 21.
Didn't leave that party till the wee hours of the morning. And it was a great party put on. And then when I got engaged to Kathleen, there was a big debate between Kathleen and Lolly and DT on who I was going to ask first. If I was going to ask Dave for his daughter's hand in marriage, which I did not. I asked Kathleen first. And we got down to the Caribbean islands after I had asked her, and Dave and Laura were already down there, and we showed up, and there was lots of discussion, and I didn't know if I was going to be accepted into the family because I did not ask Dave first. But Lolly was very thrilled because now she had a son-in-law, or a future son-in-law, that was mechanically inclined, that could help Dave on the farm, and she wouldn't have to turn them wrenches and master that grease gun that she never really mastered. There have been some great parties here. Lolly's been behind now. She'll be greatly missed. And with that, we're going to close this out. The food is ready over there. There is beer. There is wine. The big tub has water and soda in it. It is not marked, but there's water and soda in the big tub. And stick around. The pool is open for any of the kids that want to go in. Go in the basement of the house. There's a bedroom down there where they can change. The bathroom is open down there for them to dry off when they're done. And when it gets a little later, we'll have s'mores. We're going to start a bonfire out there and have s'mores, and you're welcome to stick around till the wee hours of the morning if you wish, because we'll still be going. Thank you.